Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Quick Expert Reviews. Today we've got the Xiaomi Mi 9, which, to be honest, I've owned for the past 4 months now. So yes, this has been my daily driver up until the day of the Xperia 1. However, I have to admit that it's really hard to get rid of the Xiaomi Mi 9, considering the price and what you get for the price, which I believe currently is around £399. So yes, we've got a triple lens camera setup, 48, 12 and 16 megapixels. We've got the second microphone on the top. We also have a SIM tray and a Google Now, Google, Hey Google, OK Google button on the left. Then we've got a Type-C and it's one single bottom firing speaker on the bottom. Then we've got the front-facing 20 megapixel camera and on the display fingerprint sensor, which could have been a bit better in terms of, yeah, as you can see, doesn't work really that well. But I've got an issue with on-the-display fingerprint sensors on all of the phones, regardless of the make. So I find Face Unlock way faster, and I've actually tested it with my picture as well. As you can see, it's absolutely spot on. It doesn't even go into lock screen. It goes straight to unlock the phone. So yeah, that's fast and works really well. So we've got this 6.39-inch glorious AMOLED panel, which is made by Samsung themselves. And then we are running on Android 9 Pie out of the box with a security update from April. So as it is with most of the Chinese manufacturers, the security updates might not be up to date that much. However, you still do get quite a lot of software updates. I think I've got like 5 since the phone launched, so at least one a month. And I'm not talking about security updates, I'm talking about updates that add additional features. So yeah, that's that. In terms of NFC and Android Pay, there is one very important thing. You have to use HCE wallet if you want to use Google Pay. Otherwise, it will just fail when you try to make a payment. Not really sure why is that, but yes, you have to switch to HCE in order to use Google Pay with the contactless payment readers. Otherwise it will kick back. In terms of display, there's quite a lot of features actually. So we've got the reading mode, which removes the blue hue and puts less strain in the evening. Then you've got the ambient display as well, but I'll cover that in a second. Contrast and colors. So you've got automatic contrast, or you've got increased contrast, which makes the colors feel a bit more saturated, sometimes a bit oversaturated. And then we've got the ambient display as well. So when you turn the screen off, you've got the nice ambient display that shows the time. On top of that, if you want to, you can also change how it looks like. So it's a really nice addition, I have to admit, and it works really well. You can even schedule it, so you can turn it on, for example, only overnight. Then we've got a dark mode. Now, as much as I love dark mode, I don't use it on this particular phone, purely because when, for example, I get a message from eBay or anything like that, I get a white notification bar with white font. It doesn't change the font. Well, it does change the font to white, so you can't really see anything on it. It's really hard to show it to you guys, purely because I haven't sold anything on eBay currently, but yes, it is what it is, unfortunately. In terms of sounds and vibration, it's actually split into two. So you've got sound and vibration to choose your own ringtone, and then there is another panel which I'll show you in a second. In terms of lock screen and password, there is quite a lot of features. You can add your own info if you like to on the lock screen itself. Like I did say, you've got the face unlock and on the display fingerprint sensor unlock as well. Then, a nice addition is that you can swipe the panel from anywhere you like to, which will be added natively into Android Q, but you can do that now, so you don't have to pull the notification bar from the very top. Then we've got a full screen display. Again, I don't tend to use that on this phone, purely because I'm sometimes, now the phone is without a case, so it's easy, but sometimes it doesn't register when I'm trying to do backwards or forwards on the edge on the screen, which is a bit daft, unfortunately, and it doesn't work that well for me, especially that I do use a lot of multitasking, and I do use a lot, obviously, back and forward. So unfortunately, no for me. I've been using back, home and recent buttons on Android since HTC Desire in 2008 or 9, I believe, and I've got so used to it, I'm not kind of changing back. I think the best implementation of the swipe gestures was in P20 Pro I used to have. Yes, authorization revocation. So there are quite a lot of features in here, like shortcuts, gesture shortcuts and everything, but I am trying to keep this video as short as possible. However, there are so many features in the Xiaomi phones that it's hard. So for example, headphones and audio effects. Depending on which headphone you plug in, if it's not a Xiaomi headphone, pair of headphones, you can change the audio output, which is amazing, but at the same time is a bit sometimes confusing. You get a 100 mode and you get different size of 100 mode, but it only works if you don't have a gesture-based menu. Then like the user interface. Then we've got an app lock, which allows us to lock apps behind face unlock or fingerprint sensor. So for example, I've got a gallery, pictures of my family in it, that's locked behind the fingerprint sensor and a facial recognition, which means that if you do give the phone to someone to browse through it, at least they won't see pictures that you don't want them to see. And then in terms of camera, there is quite a lot to cover in here. Obviously the picture samples will be at the very end of the video. However, you obviously can install Google Camera on the Xiaomi phone. Now this review will focus mainly on the Mi 9, so I'm going to do additional video about the Mi 9 with the Google Cam. But yes, there are quite a lot of features, as you can see, everything from macro photography to tilt shift and so on. Then if you'd like to, let's just adjust the brightness a bit. You've got different camera modes as well. You can record in 4K up to 60 frames per second. So that's that. You can even record slow-mo up to 960 frames per second. And there is quite a lot of options in the settings themselves. You can even adjust preferred default contrast and saturation of the photo. But obviously there is a full-blown manual mode, which I'll cover in a second, that also allows you to adjust even further. So in terms of camera, this phone is a beast. Especially that, like I said, not every Snapdragon 855 equipped phone can record in 4K at 60 frames per second. Luckily, this phone can, if you're into that kind of stuff. And yes, let's have a look. So that's that. Now, slow motion, like I said, up to 960 frames per second, and you get switch at the very top of the video. Then we've got the short video, which just records, you've guessed it, short videos. Then we've got the 48 megapixel only mode. Then we've got the portrait mode, which allows you to adjust the bokeh effect, the depth, not the depth, the blurriness of the effect. Then we've got a manual mode, which also, if you go into manual focus, adds additional option, which is called peak focus, which then, maybe that's not the best option. Let's use something else. Which then, when you adjust the focus, it will show, you'll see that on that grass on the bottom of the picture, that green grass thingy. It will show you where it will focus. So let's scroll it further. It's one of my favorite features, to be honest. Let's scroll it a bit further, and as you can see, there's gonna, yep, so you get those red spots on the bottom showing up. That shows where the focus will be. A very, very useful feature, which I do tend to use quite a lot when I use manual mode on this phone. So yeah, peak focus, a very nice addition. And then you can actually adjust anything, including the white balance, for example. That's in Kelvins and everything, exposure value. However, you cannot do it in videos. At the minute, I think the only phone that allows you to do that is a P20 and P30 Pro in videos. Let's cover a game mode. So there is additional mode, which is called the game mode, which is a bit hidden, to be honest. I'm using a Poco launcher because the stock launcher is a bit slow. So you get the game turbo mode, which basically tries to keep all the games in one place. However, on top of that, you can, for example, set it so that let's say when you get notifications, they are all muted, or you, for example, answer the phone call on the speaker itself. Then you can even adjust the touch resistant area of the phone and even the graphics for every single game, so the colors are a bit more saturated. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, let's actually have finally a listen to the audio. So yeah, thanks for watching another episode of Quick Expert Reviews. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments. And I'll speak to you soon, guys. Bye!